NFL Week 17 is here. We're talking about my 4 favorite picks. We got 3 player props, 1 spread pick, and 1 money line parlay. Happy New Year to everyone watching out there in 2023 as I record this in 2022. Now let's recap how Thursday night did. It was an 0-1-1 day. CeeDee Lamb goes over. The under does push at 40. So whatever. We'll lose 1 unit. Let's get into it. We're going 4-0 today. Take it to the bank. We're cashing that money line parlay. If you are new to the Call on Our Shot channel, my name is Austin. Welcome aboard. It's 2023. Potentially when you're watching this, let's have a great 2023. We crushed 2022. I'll recap a bunch of different statistics in our daily NBA video. You can go check that out. All sportsbook links are down below in the description if you want to check them out. I think Ohio has legalized sports betting as of January 1st. Check it out. All the sportsbook sign-up links down below in the description. Take advantage of that. Let's waste no more time going to a big-time game. I'm going to Adam Thielen, taking this over, 40.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. I'd probably play this up to 42.5. If it goes down a yard or two, I don't mind that either. As sharper books did favor the under, but I want the over here for Mr. Thielen as him and the Vikings travel to Lambeau Field, taking on the Packers. Now, this is a must-win game, arguably for both teams. The Packers a little bit more than the Vikings, as the Packers obviously are still trying to fight for playoff positioning. And look, the Vikings are still trying to fight for playoff seeding as well, as they've already clinched their division, but still trying to make the best record as they possibly can get to get the potential for more home games in the playoffs. Now, Thielen, up and down all year long, and last week had his biggest down of the year, only 1 reception for 6 yards. He had 5 targets in that game, just couldn't connect with Kirk Cousins. Now, I expect him to bounce back in that game. We saw Justin Jefferson and TJ Hockenson each hog 16 targets. Now, I think it'll be a little bit more dispersed here, and the Packers have a very solid secondary, so it's not going to be easy sledding, but let's be honest. Packers must-win game. If you're in that locker room, you're the defensive coordinator. I have a feeling you're going to be talking about Justin Jefferson, trying to find ways to take him away, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him getting double-teamed. Now, I'm not saying go take Justin Jefferson's under. I wouldn't do that, but wouldn't be surprised if he sees a ton of coverage from the Vikings, and they say, you know what, Kirk Cousins, make someone else beat us, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Adam Thielen have a pretty decent game. He's always had great games against Green Bay in his career, and his last 12 games versus the Packers averaged 79.1 receiving yards per game, hitting this over in 8 of the 12 games. Now, earlier this year, he had 81 or 41 yards versus them, and I think he can certainly get this done. Now, I actually think he was a little bit below 41, but still, he didn't have any production in the second half. And Thielen, great success at Lambeau Field, hitting this over in 2 of the last 3. And in his last 15 games this year, he's averaged 46 receiving yards per game, hitting this over in 9 of 15 games. Now, he's had 5+ targets in 12 of 15 games, so the targets are there, and he's failed to go under in back-to-back games. He's only done that once this year. I don't see him going under in 2 straight games. They didn't move his line at all. 20 wide receivers have 5 or more targets against Green Bay this year. 14 of 20 hit the over. I think Justin Jefferson's going to see a ton of coverage today. I think Thielen's going to have to beat him, and he's played 90% of the snaps the last 3 weeks. He's going to be out there a whole lot of the time. Thielen, we're relying on you to kick off 2023. Now, let's go to my spread pick, and I'm going to keep this simple. Taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, minus 3.5, currently minus 114 on FanDuel. Now, most books have this line at minus 4, but sharper books are down at 3.5. So I imagine books start to kind of go back to that 3.5 line, which is what it was earlier this week. Now, the NFC South is on the line for this game. The Buccaneers are hosting the Carolina Panthers, and the winner of the game goes to the playoffs most likely. And look, this is a must-win game as Tom Brady and them are trying to clinch this NFC South. They can't afford to lose this game, and I'm going to run with the Bucs. Now, there's a couple reasons why, but let's start with the Buccaneers. Haven't looked great this year. They're 7-8 straight up, 3-11-1 against the spread, which is the worst record in the NFL. And you look at the Panthers, 6-9 straight up, 8-7 against the spread. Looked pretty decent with Sam Darnold. Now, what do the Panthers want to do? They want to run the football and want to run it and run some more. Last week, they dominated the Detroit Lions, running for 320 yards. But in this Panthers defense dominated the Buccaneers earlier this year, beating them 20-3, running for 173 yards back in week 7. Now, it's hard to beat a divisional opponent twice in one season. It goes for any kind of stake. And the Buccaneers defense, it's getting a little bit healthier. Their last home game, they held Cincinnati to just 2.5 yards per carry on 21 rushing attempts. That was at home. Then on the road, they did all right against the Cardinals, allowing just 4.5 yards per carry on 27 rushing attempts. But the defense is getting healthier. And look, Todd Bowles is going to come up with the game plan. It's going to be, hey, Sam Darnold, you can go out there and beat us. They're going to load the box, try to force the Panthers into the 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, 2nd and long to be specific. And look, I have a little bit more faith in Tom Brady to get it done in a must-win game. The pressure could be a little bit too big for the Panthers in this moment. They haven't played in a lot of playoff games. Buccaneers have a lot of playoff experience. I'm going to trust them as the home team. -3.5. I know they've stunk this year, but I think they at least win by 4 points, hopefully by a touchdown, maybe by 2 touchdowns. I think they can easily beat this Panthers team. So Buccaneers, I'm riding with them as my spread pick of the week. Now let's dive into 2 more player props. Wrap it up with a money line parlay. Going to Michael Pittman Jr. And I like his over 55.5 receiving yards, currently -114 on FanDuel. Now, last week on Monday Night Football against the Chargers, I was hurt by a Colts wide receiver. So might as well get hurt by another one. But let's talk about this. And before I dive into it, I want to tell you guys to follow my man Ahan Rangda. I butchered his name, but go follow him on Twitter. I collaborated with this play with him. So go check him out. He definitely posts a lot of plays. He's a very sharp mind. Now let's talk about MPJ though this year. 14 games played, 61 receiving yards per game, over this line in 8 of 14. Now Pittman and the entire Colts offense stunk it up last week. Nick Foles stunk. Offensive line stunk. It was brutal to watch as an Alec Pierce over better, but either way, I like MPJ to get back on track here against the New York Giants. Now, the best part you have to like about MPJ, the volume's there. 6+ targets in 13 of 14 games, 7+ targets in 11 of 14. That included last week when he was targeted 7 times by Nick Foles. Now, the Giants secondary had a pretty good start to the year, but has really been bad as of late. In fact, they're just last week you saw them give up 133 yards to Justin Jefferson, 109 to TJ Hawkinson, and 9 of the last 10 wide receivers with 6 or more targets. First, the Giants have hit this over. The lone miss was a rookie, Jahan Dotson, who ended up with 54 yards. He was just 2 away from hitting this over for MPJ. Look, I know the Giants are in a must-win scenario here, so they need to go out there and win this game. But also, they could put this Colts team into a deficit earlier. Maybe we see the Colts throwing it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we look at Michael Pittman Jr. Been very consistent this year, getting very close to this line. I think he goes over it. I'd probably play it up to about 60.5. 62.5 if you have to go up that high. You look at also MPJ, not saying this factors in here, but he has 10 receptions away from 100 on the year and 150 yards away from 1,000. I know it has been a wash of a year. The Colts have stunk it up, but maybe he's trying to hit those milestones, at least for his career's sake. He had over 1,000 yards last year. Maybe he tries to do it in 2 straight years. So I think MPJ has a pretty good game. We'll take his over 55.5 receiving yards. Again, go follow Han on Twitter. Go check him out. Let's dive into my third and final player prop. 4th pick of the video. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like his over 80.5 receiving yards, -115 on points, but I'd probably play this up to 86.5. And while it's a lofty line, very confident in St. Brown on Sunday. Now, I think he has a good chance of getting over 100 yards. Now, the Lions at home, so weather's not going to be an issue as they play in a dome. Facing the Bears, a very weak secondary. And look at St. Brown the last 3 weeks, 68, 76, and 76 receiving yards. So he's gone under in 3 straight weeks, yet they're raising his line higher and higher. What do they know is what I ask you guys. Prior to that 3-game stretch of going under, St. Brown had 114 or more receiving yards in 3 of 4 games. Obviously, TJ Hawkinson's out of there. And so St. Brown, the number 1 wide receiver on this team, he's seen 8+ targets in 9 straight games, saw 13 last week. He's had a 10 reception game for 119 yards earlier this year versus the Chicago Bears. Now, Jared Goff hasn't been as great on the road, but he's been pretty good at home, which is where they are today, so that's good. He should be targeting his star wide receiver early and often. And like I said, the volume's there for Amon-Ra. He's the number 1 and arguably number 2 wide receiver on this team. They're throwing it to him first. He's the first look, and then he's also the second look for Jared Goff, and that's how good he's been. But 6 wide receivers have 8 or more targets for Chicago this year. Here's how they did. A.J. Brown, 181 receiving yards. His teammate in the same game, Devontae Smith, 126. Garrett Wilson, the Jets, 95. Amon-Ra, 119. Tyreek Hill, 143. Justin Jefferson, 154. Look, if you get targets against this Bears defense, you're going to have success, and they're still banged up. I think he has a great day. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown taking his over 80.5 receiving yards. If you want an added motivator, his older brother, Equinemius, probably butchered that name. It's not COS All-Star time, but probably butchered it. He plays for the Bears. He'll be on the other sideline, so maybe he puts on a show for his older bro. Wouldn't be surprised. Amon-Ra riding with his over. It's time to wrap up 2022, start 2023 with the moneyline parlay smacking. That's what we're asking for. Play responsibly. It's only 4 legs. Hopefully these teams can get it done. It's nothing crazy. We're going Giants, Commanders, 49ers, and Patriots. All on the money line, plus 425 on FanDuel. Let's smack it. Now let's talk about each of these legs. The Giants taking on the Colts. I watched the Colts on Monday night. They stunk. And look, I don't really think the Colts got nothing to play for. So the Giants do. I think the Giants at least win this game. Maybe they don't cover, but I think the Giants at least get it done at home. The Commanders versus the Browns. The Browns are a team eliminated from the playoffs. The Commanders still have a little bit of hope. They're putting in Carson Wentz now. Oof. But still, Browns are eliminated. I know the Browns are probably... They're still a good team, but how much of a motivation do they want to win this game? I don't really think a lot, but they still could. That could be a sketchy leg. If you want to remove one, Commanders probably your go-to. Now, 49ers, Taking on the Raiders, who benched Derek Carr. We'll see how that goes for him. 49ers should be able to roll for him against them in Las Vegas. And then the Patriots, money line versus the Dolphins. Dolphins, Tua is again in concussion protocol. Hopefully he's all right just for his own health. But the Patriots kind of need this big-time win to stay in the playoff hunt. They lose this game, I think they're all but out of it. But the Patriots, I think, get it done. They're at home. Certainly think they can beat Teddy Bridgewater and the Dolphins. So 4 legs plus 425. Let's wrap up this year. Start the new year with a bang. Those are my favorite plays. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's have a great day. See you guys back in on Monday for Monday Night Football video and for some NBA picks every single morning. I'm Austin, signing out. Let's hit 65,000 subscribers. I have no idea where we're at today. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.